GDP deficiency trending. For this presentation, we carried out a review of our inspection deficiencies across a number of inspections. This presentation takes you through some of the common findings from this review. In this presentation, we will look at the inspection type reviewed, the definition of deficiencies, the breakdown of deficiency types, and a comparison of the deficiencies across the different chapters and include examples. The Health Products Distribution section performs a wide variety of activities in the Compliance Department of the HPRA. With this, we carry out a number of different inspection types from the distribution of medicines, active substances, controlled drugs, and precursor chemicals. Please note that the distribution of medical devices now falls under the Medical Device section of the HPRA. For this presentation, we looked at only one type of inspection. This was in relation to the distribution of medicines. For this review, we looked at 286 inspections in total. 135 of these inspections were routine inspections and 151 were classed as non-routine inspections. A non-routine inspection involves a new WDA application, a variation, or a for-cause inspection. Before we look at the inspection findings of our review, I thought we'd have a look at the definition of the GDP deficiencies. A critical deficiency is any departure from the guidelines on good distribution practice resulting in a medicinal product causing a significant risk to the patient and public health. This includes an activity increasing the risk of falsified medicines reaching the patients. A combination of a number of major deficiencies that indicates a serious systems failure, or an example of a critical deficiency could be purchase from or supply of medicinal products to a non-authorized person, storage of products requiring refrigeration at ambient temperatures, and rejected or recalled products found in saleable stock. A major deficiency is defined as a non-critical deficiency, which indicates a major deviation from good distribution practice, or which has caused or may cause a medicinal product not to comply with its marketing authorization, in particular its storage and transport conditions, or which indicates a major deviation from the terms and provisions of the wholesale distribution authorization, or a combination of several other deficiencies, none of which on their own may be major, but which may together represent a major deficiency. An other deficiency is a deficiency which cannot be classed as either critical or major, but which indicates a departure from the guidelines on good distribution practice. This slide looks at the number of inspections that had a deficiency classed as critical, major, or other. This is not the total number of deficiencies given in the 286 inspections, simply just whether an inspection had a deficiency of that classification cited. As you can see, 3 of the inspections had a deficiency classed as critical, 221 inspections had at least one deficiency classed as major, and 282 inspections had at least one deficiency classed as another. Anyone who has participated in an inspection will know that typically deficiencies are cited as a combination of deficiency types. So you may receive a major and another, and this is what we will look at next. This slide gives you a breakdown of the combination of deficiencies cited. As you can see, 2 inspections had a combination of critical, major, and other deficiency types cited, while 218 inspections had deficiencies of major and other cited. What is interesting is that 63 of the 286 inspections had only other deficiencies cited. Hopefully this presentation will give you some areas to focus on so that next time this information is presented, the majority of inspections will only have the category of other deficiencies cited. So why is it important that we strive to try and get our future results as shown? Well, medicines are not like regular products. The end user is a patient that requires a treatment for short-term or long-term help. When we go to get our medicines, we make an assumption that they are going to work as expected. And this is why, as a wholesaler, you have a responsibility to maintain the medicines as they should be. The importance of your role in medicine distribution is why we inspect to ensure your operations and activities keep the medicine as it was intended and keep the supply chain's integrity. By aiming to ensure that your operations are compliant means that you are doing your best to ensure you protect the supply chain and therefore the patient. On one side of the pendulum, we have critical deficiencies or multiple major deficiencies, and on the other side, we have other deficiencies. So what does this mean for you? If you are receiving critical deficiencies or multiple major deficiencies, this indicates that you are a higher risk, and it may be due to a poor compliance record or indicate that operations and activities are not working as required, possibly a systems failure. And this leads to concerns regarding the compliance of the medicines on the market, and ultimately this leads to more inspections. Only other deficiencies gives an indication that you are a lower risk site, that you have a good compliance record, operations and activities are working as required, and the site has the ability to catch or control any issues that arise. This means that you are protecting public health by providing compliant medicines to the market, and ultimately you will have less inspections. This next section compares the number of deficiencies across the different chapters of GDP. The total number of inspections with a critical deficiency was 3. Inspection 1 had a combined critical deficiency cited against Chapters 1, Quality Management, 5, Operations, and 9, Transportation. Inspection 2 had a critical deficiency cited against Chapter 6, Complaints, Suspected Falsified Medicinal Products, Returns, and Recalls. And Inspection 3 also had its critical deficiency cited against Chapter 6. Looking at the major deficiencies in green, we can see that over half of the inspections carried out, 54% of the inspections, had a deficiency cited against operations. This was followed by 35% of the inspections having a deficiency cited against premises and equipment, and 22% of all the inspections having a deficiency cited against Chapter 9, Transportation. If we take other deficiencies in blue, we can see that 64% of all inspections had a deficiency cited against Chapter 1, Quality Management, and 64% of inspections had a deficiency against Chapter 6, Complaints, Returns, Suspected Falsified, and Recalls. And 56% of inspections had another deficiency cited against operations. What is interesting is if we recap on what a critical deficiency is, it is a departure from GDP that results in a significant risk to patient and public health. The definition uses the following terms and examples: serious systems failure, purchase and supply to or from a non-authorized person, rejected or recalled products found in saleable stock. Taking into account this definition and looking at the highest areas in major and other deficiencies and also the critical deficiencies, these are the areas that I'm going to focus on. We have Chapter 1, Quality Management, Chapter 5, Operations, and Chapter 6, Complaints, Suspected Falsified, Returns, and Recalls. Using the 3 areas identified, we will look at examples of the deficiencies cited in these areas and why compliance in these areas is important for protecting public health. Quality management was one of the areas where a critical deficiency was cited. Quality management comprises of the quality system, management of outsourced activities, management review and monitoring, and quality risk management. Failures in these areas can lead to significant issues for your wholesaling operation. To have strong quality management, you need a robust quality system, strong leadership and management, and to understand the risks to your operations. Outsourcing should be considered a high-risk area as you have less control over it, and therefore, if you outsource any of your activities, you need to have oversight and assurance of this. There is a dedicated presentation on outsourced activities which will go into further details. Regarding quality management, we will first take a look at the quality system. Wholesale distribution is procure, hold, supply, and export. To ensure that your wholesale operation is in compliance, it is underpinned by a quality system. The quality system is a tool that should be used by companies to ensure patients have access to safe, effective, and quality medicines. This is why when there are multiple failures within the quality system, it can lead to critical issues, as we have seen in previous inspections. The quality management is like the foundations of your business, and without robust foundations, cracks can start to appear, and this can lead to a significant problem. Hence why a systems failure may be deemed a critical deficiency. This slide shows some of examples of deficiencies that were found during the review. By failing to properly implement quality risk management at the site, you leave your operations open to unidentified and uncontrolled risks, which in the worst case scenario could potentially cause a significant risk to patient and public health. Similarly, it is important that management have an understanding of what is happening throughout the site to help identify any risks that may be occurring. If a deficiency has been cited because there is a non-compliance at a previous inspection and you have committed to a CAPA, you need to make sure that these are implemented, but not only that, you should be checking the effectiveness of the CAPA in order to be satisfied that the action has remedied the issue. Management should have oversight of these issues to ensure that they are completed, and this is why management review and monitoring is important. Chapter 5, Operations. Out of the 286 inspections reviewed, one had a critical deficiency against operations. Over half of the inspections, 154 inspections, had a major deficiency cited against operations, and 159 of the inspections had an other deficiency cited against this chapter. Operations is made up of the following activities: qualification of suppliers, qualification of customers, receipt, storage, picking, supply, export, and destruction. And this is one of the higher risk areas for a wholesaler. This is the area in which your checks on the integrity of the supply chain are vital. While the FMD presentation gives us an overview of one piece to ensure supply chain integrity FMD, the other area that is key is the qualification of your suppliers and customers. To know who you are buying, receiving product from, and who you are selling or sending product to. Therefore, it is not surprising that this is a high-risk area that we tend to see a large amount of deficiencies in, and examples of which are on the slide. To protect your company, but most importantly the patient, you need to be confident that who you are dealing with are authorized for the activity they carry out. If a company you have been dealing with asks you to deliver to a different address, you need to ask, are they authorized or why? While these checks might feel onerous, they're a key piece in protecting the supply chain and patient. Traceability is vital in protecting the supply chain. You need to be able to know what you have received and supplied and from and to whom. This is really important in the case of a quality issue or for falsified medicine, and also to ensure that your stock isn't being diverted into an illegal market. While traceability to and from your site is important, do not forget about traceability within your site also. This leads me on to Chapter 6, which had 2 critical deficiencies cited against it. Continuing on from the importance of traceability, failure to be able to track your product can lead to a failure in the recall and return processes. Wholesalers need to have the ability to know where product is to ensure that product can be recalled when required, but also within your own warehouse. If a product is returned and hasn't been approved saleable stock or is recalled product, you need to ensure that it cannot be accidentally distributed further, as this could lead to a significant issue should a patient receive this stock depending on the initial issue with the product. Deficiencies in this section are often cited against the management of recalls in that recalled stock was redistributed, that stock wasn't recalled in a timely manner upon identification of an issue, that not all stock could be reconciled, or the figures in the reconciliation did not match. This is why it's really important to challenge your recall procedure to ensure an effective and efficient recall can be performed. In relation to returns, deficiencies in this area have included that products have been placed back into saleable stock without RP approval, there was no assessment of the return documented, or the final fate of the product was not recorded. Regarding complaints, failure to manage complaints correctly can lead to a mistrending of an issue that may affect the medicinal product, or failure to detect a potential critical issue early. Deficiencies around complaints that we tend to see is that complaints are not properly investigated or documented or trended. Trending of complaints can help identify systematic issues within your operations. I think after the 2 years we have had with COVID and how important the pharmaceutical supply chains and wholesalers were in maintaining supplies of medicines, it has given us a better understanding and appreciation for everyone who is employed at a wholesaler. The people who are employed at your site, no matter what their role is, should have an understanding of how their role plays a key part in protecting public health. With this in focus, it is really important that your staff are trained correctly and have the support that is required for carrying out their roles. As you can see from the listing of deficiencies on this slide, a high percentage of deficiencies in this area are in relation to training. Competent personnel are hugely important in the role of medicine distribution. It is not only important to train your staff, but to ensure that they have a concrete understanding of what they are meant to be doing. Effectiveness checks can be carried out in a number of ways, from read and understand to questioning to observing, but it is important that it is done. You should be questioning your training procedures if you are raising deviations with a root cause of human error the majority of the time. Is this truly the root cause, or could it be reduced with an update to your quality system? Competent personnel are key to protecting public health. And finally, some points to consider. Risk assess your operations and its activities. Use your self-inspections. Critically review your processes and procedures to check that you are carrying out your operations as it is stated that you would. Review CAPAs and ensure that they are implemented and closed, and look at your records and agreements and not just the procedures, as this will give you more information. So why do this? Well, hopefully this will help you move away from critical and major deficiencies and towards other deficiencies, which will ultimately lead to safer medicines for the patient and the protection of public health.